The Harvester Judgment Case, known in court as Ex parte H v Mackay, was a landmark Australian labour law decision. The case arose under the Excise Tariff Act 1906, which among other things introduced a large tax on exporting goods manufactured in Australia. However, if the manufacturer paid fair and reasonable wages to their workers, then the tax could be avoided. The only issue was, what was a fair wage? Well, in 1907, a court of arbitration was established by the government to work out what a fair wage would be. Justice Henry Bourne Higgins was put in charge of the case and given the task of determining the fair wage. Now there was a man named Hugh Victor Mackay. He was one of Australia's largest employers, manufacturing agricultural machinery. Mackay had a bad reputation among his workers, being known for discouraging union membership and closing down a factory in Ballarat to avoid paying workers under the determination of a wages board. Under the Excise Tariff Act 1906, he had to pay a tax on all goods he exported unless the wages he paid were fair and reasonable. Because of this, Mackay applied to the Court of Arbitration for a declaration that the wages he paid were fair and reasonable. However, he didn't quite get the result he was hoping for. Mackay's application was chosen out of 111 others by Justice Higgins, and his factory was to be used as a test case, because it was the largest in the Southern Hemisphere and it had the greatest number and variety of employees. From this factory, Higgins interviewed a number of employees, as well as their wives, which was considered unconventional at the time. He got the wives to bring in accounts of their household, so that he could determine what was frugal comfort for a man, his wife, and 2.5 children, which was considered the appropriate structure of a working-class household. On the 8th of November 1907, Justice Higgins ruled that a wage which met the normal needs of an average employee was 7 shillings a day. This decision had many impacts on Australian society. Although it took 13 years, the first nationwide minimum wage was put into place in 1920, following the Harvester case. This minimum wage affected all Australians who had previously been paid less than the minimum, and it improved their living standards and their day-to-day life, in turn improving their physical and mental health. Another significant effect was that it took the pressure off women to have to work as well as their husbands to make ends meet, because now they didn't have to work and could instead stay home and look after their kids and the house. One important detail is that the minimum wage was only for men, not women. There were also some negative impacts on people. The main one of these is it put pressure on employers, as they had to pay their employees more money, and this sometimes meant that they had to cut down the number of employees to be able to still pay them. The Harvester Judgment Case was the basis of the minimum wage in Australia all the way up to the 1970s, and this shows just how much of an important decision it was. It was the first minimum wage in Australia, and its impact can still be seen in our minimum wages today.